The NYPD is trying to bridge the gap between police and the communities that they serve. Now, we're going to go back to Liberation High School in Brooklyn, where a principal stepped up to offer a class to her students taught by this man, Lieutenant Donzel Clare. Dom has this part of the story.
Lieutenant Clare of the NYPD, what are you doing to bridge the gap?
Well, I'm trying to create as many avenues of communication as I can. From sports and athletic programs to empowerment seminars to open dialogues, closed door forums with young people to pretty much talk about what's going on. In today's climate and culture with policing, it's very hostile times, very explosive times. And what I'm trying to do is give as many young people an avenue to express their concerns. And then there's a lot of misconceptions. There's some misconceptions with law enforcement in the community and community with law enforcement. So we're trying to get rid of a lot of those street myths. We're trying to talk a lot, plain talk, real discussion about the issues out there. And the most important piece is giving them a platform to be heard.
How tough is it to actually bridge the gap?
It's tough. It's tough, but here at Liberation, you know, it's a little easier because it's a warm market, so to speak, because the principal, Ms. Leung, is very instrumental and she's a driving force behind this class. So when I come in and when officers come in, their guard is up, but not all the way up. So they're really open to listening because there's a level of trust because they trust her. So if she trusts us, then they have somewhat of the trust with us. So it's not as hard here, but once we start talking about sensitive topics and emotional topics, maybe some situations that may have happened with them in law enforcement, it could get a little explosive, but that's what we like. We need sometimes to have explosive, passionate conversations so we can get to the matters of the heart.
Tell me about the class that you teach here. It runs a couple of months?
Yes, it's about 16 weeks. And over the 16 weeks, we talk a lot about police interactions, police protocol. We bring in units like K9 unit. We'll bring in someone to do tactical communication. We have youth perceptions. That's where the students become the police, and we bring in housing cadets, and they become the students, and they have to do role plays and interact. And we also bring in the FATS machine, which is a firearm simulator, and they have to go through police scenarios. And it's very thought-provoking, and then it also produces real emotion. I remember one situation where there was a case where a man had a shotgun, and the student had to act and had to use her firearm. And afterwards, she started shaking, and it produced real emotion. And it's emotions like that come out to where students can actually see that, you know what, it's not as easy to be a police officer. And then, you know, for us as officers dealing with the members of the class, the youth, they realize that the youth really do care about their community, and it helps us to have a more of an open mind and a greater appreciation for what the young people are trying to do coming up behind us.
Lieutenant Clare, one of the things that breaks my heart is no snitching, this phenomenon of not cooperating with police. Explain it.
Okay, in my opinion, stop snitching is one of the elements that are destroying our community. It's keeping a lot of individuals in fear, and it's keeping a lot of the negative element. It's perpetuating or allowing the cycle of negativity to continue, because people in the urban community feel that if they tell on someone in their community that they're violating some type of public trust. But what happens is that they're allowing situations of violence and negativity to continue. And it's almost like a badge of honor that you don't tell. And it's not even telling law enforcement, it's telling anybody. The only time people would want to tell or snitch per se, and it's not even snitching, because there's a difference between snitching and doing the right thing. Snitching is when, you know, two people are doing dirt out there, and I decide because I want to get over, we may get caught, that I'm going to tell on my friend or the person that I was doing the crime with, and then I'll get over. But doing the right thing is when there's negativity going on in your community, that you let someone know because you don't want it to exist. The only time people want to do the right thing is when it hits home. When, you know what, someone shot and killed my family member, or a family member of mine is strung out on the drugs that my friend next door is selling, then we want to do the right thing. When someone gets robbed, when my grandmother gets hit over the head and gets robbed by the people that I know that are robbing people every day, then I want to do the right thing. So snitching is a destructive phenomenon that is just destroying our urban community.
Coming up next, we put a human face on a terrible disease. We'll be speaking to some local people who are leading the fight to try and find a cure for Huntington's disease, and they have a very personal reason for doing it.